Coming to Grand Rapids, Michigan on September 21st and 22nd is GrandCon Gaming and Comics Convention, presented by Celebration Cinemas. Join us in playing or chatting it up with fellow enthusiasts in a community that understands your passions. Get lost in the adventure of your favorite role-playing game. Admire costumes and art from vendors and attendees. Meet the creators behind your favorite mainstream and independent games and comic books. Check out unpublished games and sneak peek at things to come. You can get all this and more at GrandCon. For more information, please visit www.grand-con.com.
Ninja Pizza? Well, what do you know? Rock, dudes! Do you realize what this is?
The crucial piece of evidence we were looking for?
The clue which will lead us to the heart of the evil ninja empire? No, even better! It's a place where we can get some pizza! Right on!
Okay, I'll head up there and check it out.
No, April. It's too dangerous. You wouldn't last 5 minutes in a ninja pizza parlor. I love saying lines like that.
We better go with you, April.
That's right. And besides, we're hungry!
Welcome to the Pull Bag. Join us as we dig out our latest comics and discuss them with the rotating panel of the GCRN crew. So sit back and enjoy this week's Pull Bag.
Hello and welcome to the Pull Bag. This is episode 29. I am your host, TFG1Mike, and we're doing yet another Origins episode. This is the second of 3 before we hit the Transformers Robots in Disguise volume arc. And joining me this time around is the third out of the 4 chairs over there at Off the Cuff is Mr. Joe Reed. Hello, sir.
Hello there, Internet Radio.
How are you?
I'm well.
Yes. This episode, even though I told Joe off air, might only be 30-40 minutes. It might run a little longer, since this is the first time Joe and I have actually got to talk, and I've listened to you on Off the Cuff, formerly XRG, formerly The Lunchroom, formerly whatever the hell other name.
That's great, because I haven't listened to me.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, some people don't listen to their own podcasts. But when I've listened to you, you are the retro out of that crew, and that's pretty much what I gravitate towards as well. But this is a comic podcast. Well, we might break into some games in a little bit, but where did you, was it a family member, your dad, your grandfather, and uncle? How did you get into comics as a kid?
Well, I think growing up between 4 to 10 years old, I was aware of comic book people, characters, but I didn't know about comic books. I mean, I know who Superman was and Spider-Man and Batman, and I grew up watching Nick at Night had reruns of Adam West Batman on, and so I knew about this stuff, but my first memory of actually holding a comic book and reading it came from the Ninja Turtles. We went over to a family friend's house, and my mom's boss, he was a 50-year-old kind of grandpa sort of guy, and he had a Ninja Turtle Michelangelo sitting on his end table, and it was, the old version. This was 1990, maybe 1991, and I didn't know what a Ninja Turtle was, but I played with that thing, and the nunchucks were great, and our friend Todd, the older guy, was just, I got this, and proud of it, and showing me and playing with me with it, and at sometime after that, maybe after the cartoon, I ended up at a comic book store that was relatively close to where I lived, and I found the Archie Ninja Turtles comics. And I started buying those things, and when I came on, it was issue 15, maybe, in that neighborhood, and so between that, and me and my friend, we'd get on our bikes and ride a mile down to the busy street with the gas station on the corner, and at this time in 1992 or 93, you could still buy comics on spinner racks in the gas station, and I would start riding down there every month to get the new issue of Ninja Turtles, and that was really where I got into it. But beyond that, I mean, after that, it didn't spontaneously cause me to start buying Superman or anything else. It kind of pittered out. I don't know, as I went into middle school and Ninja Turtles were for little kids. You know, I think we all go through that phase a little bit. But I'm glad I grew out of that and realized that it's okay to be a nerd and collect things and read comics.
Yes, yes. Were there at any point, whether it was high school or college, like in your young adulthood, was there anything that were you still into them, or had you just completely dropped them? When did you pick them back up?
Yeah, I would say that I completely dropped them, and probably in college or thereabouts. And you know, honestly, it was probably the Transformers. It was either the Transformers reboot, the Dreamwave series. It was the Dreamwave series or the Daredevil movie. One of those two things got me back into the comic book shop, and since then I've been a regular weekly kind of guy going in there to get it. So the Dreamwave Transformers run, I got into that because, man, I'm a huge G1 fan, and when they were launching that and kind of picking up where the TV show came off, but doing its own thing, the art was beautiful in that. I really got into that and got that weekly in a pull bag. And the Daredevil thing, I think the Daredevil movie was coming out, and I wanted to be familiar with the source material before I went and watched it. And I think that was about the time that Bendis and Malieve were doing their Daredevil run, and I picked that up and didn't stop until they were off the books. And between one of those two things, or both of them at the same time, I started getting into other books here and there and taking suggestions from friends and buying trade paperbacks from this story or that story.
Yeah. 2003 Daredevil, the theatrical cut, gets a really bad rap. I understand there are problems with the theatrical cut, but I still enjoy watching it. The director's cut is a much better story as far as how it's laid out, but
even the theatrical version of that, the one thing that they needed to do, and I just had this conversation with, it's because of the Ben Affleck Batman thing, and everybody started complaining about the Daredevil movie again. The one thing they needed to do to make that whole movie better was to get rid of that ridiculous fight scene in the playground where she's fighting Matt Murdock with his stick, and I'm going, can't she put two and two together? Like, this guy's not normal. He's a blind guy. And
that's exactly what everyone says. Why isn't she putting this together?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you know this, and I know most of the listeners will know, the director's cut removes all of the romance stuff. All of the romance stuff that's in the theatrical cut, director's cut, it's gone.
Huh.
And the director's cut is rated R versus PG-13 for the theatrical. So
I've seen both versions, but I didn't.
Oh, you have? Okay,
I didn't catch
wasn't sure.
The part cutting out. I didn't realize that they had removed the love scene from it, because I wouldn't have missed something that was unnecessary like that.
Yeah.
That's something that a studio exec says, we need this in there to get the girls to come to the films.
Yeah, well, and I think that's what the playground scene was, you know, they needed to show kind of like a courtship before you start dating kind of thing. But
they couldn't just go out to lunch? They had to fight in a playground?
Well, technically they already went out to lunch. Yeah. She basically insulted him. What are you, blind?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so
thanks for reminding me, Elektra.
Yeah, real. Oh, don't even get me started on that character. It's like, okay, folks, I know we've moved off comic books and off Joe's origins and stuff like that, but it's like, that's the hugest problem I have with the movie universes that do this. Like, she died in Daredevil. That's how I choose to see her. The 2005 film with her in it, that, she's magically alive, and I guess that's part of her origin. I don't know. I've never read an Elektra comic, so I'm not saying that, I'm making an unfair judgment. I've seen the Elektra movie several times, and it's bad. But it's the same thing with Avengers. I'm sorry, I don't care. This is just my opinion. I will give Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a chance, but the only thing, in my opinion, saving that show, or the only draw power to that show, is the fact that they magically have Coulson back alive. And I know that's kind of what Joss Whedon does. I mean, he did it with Fred in Angel becoming Illyria, but it's like, I prefer, like, to me, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. makes the Avengers lose its magic. The whole point of Coulson dying was so the team could unite.
And I look at Coulson's death in that and think, we never saw the body, and that's comic book.
Yeah,
I don't
know
buy that. I totally read that they were manipulating him, and he's going to show back, and they're all going to be pissed, like, hey, you told us he died. Not really.
Well, I hope he shows back up in the Marvel universe, the
think
cinematic universe, because if he's going to do a lame TV show on the kids on the kids WB on the WB, it's like, you know, come on now. If he can appear on TV, he can appear in another movie. All right. So, what are you currently reading now? Are you more Marvel, more DC?
Honestly, I'm very. I read more independent books than the main two, and I honestly think it's becoming the main three with what IDW's putting out lately.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
If I had the choice between DC and Marvel, I've always enjoyed the stories in the Marvel books more, but I think the DC heroes are more iconic, and when you get a story right with a DC character, it's legendary. When you get a Marvel character story right, it's good, but when you get it right, it's legendary with those DC characters. And I'm thinking like Long Halloween with Batman. That's a great story. If you read Superman for All Seasons, that is that gets Superman right, and it's legendary. And I'm sure there are others I haven't read, but I'm much more drawn to the Marvel universe, which doesn't seem to get caught up in reboots and in ending the world and starting it over. And yeah, they have their Civil War events, and I usually, after Civil War, I stopped paying attention to them. I didn't bother collecting anything anymore. That was a big event. I have every issue of Civil War, and all of the little side issues, and that was a pain in the neck to do. But I'm a completionist. I have to do it. I had to do it. But there was that, and then I was like, I'm totally done, because they end up retconning it, and there's always like the Daredevil story or the Ultimate Spider-Man when the Ultimate Universe had its giant weird world-ending reboot. It doesn't really seem to affect that book, and that just happened to be the book that I was reading, and so I never bothered doing anything else. But then we have IDW, who right now I'm reading. They have, I think, one or two ongoing Star Trek series. One of them's kind of tied up with pre and post the movie, and then there's the ongoing where they're tackling the television shows. They're entertaining. I don't mind them, and I like seeing their take on the episodes of the old television series done with the flair of the new universe. But what I'm most excited to read, what I buy in the store and then read while I'm sitting in the car with my air conditioning running, not driving anywhere, is the Ninja Turtles series. I've been very entertained with that, and it comes full circle. You know, I start with Ninja Turtles, and I'm still doing Ninja Turtles now.
Right. So you are reading the current ongoing.
Yeah.
What about the new animated adventures that just started?
Picked it up. One of my other stores in town, I came there and said, "Hey, I held this for you. I didn't know if you wanted it," and I used some store credit to pick it up. I didn't think I wanted it. Wasn't going to collect it, but. And it's not exactly a good book. It's really aimed at kids, kind of deliberately, hoping that they'll get into comic books through this. Maybe it's a gateway drug. I doubt it. But one of the things, well, I don't know, maybe it's a topic for later. One of the things I'm doing is trying to complete some of the old Ninja Turtle runs, and I've taught myself the lesson of buy every Ninja Turtle book that comes out, because in 10 years you're going to want it. So stop trying to not buy it.
Exactly. I have the first 2 volumes of the current ongoing. Mm-hmm. I need to get the other. Well, right now it's at 5, but it'll be 6 soon, because I just saw a solicit the other day for the City Fall Volume 6 trade. So I've been collecting, but I want to be able to get, because my thing is we're going to be doing a Turtle Spotlight here on the Pull Bag eventually, which sounds like you're probably going to be the co-host for that one, because I haven't really. I know several Turtle Comics fans, but they have their own show that they talk about Turtles comics, and I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. But it's one of those things where I want to make sure that I have all the necessary reading material before I sit there and start a spotlight. Mm-hmm. You know, a 4, 5, 6 episode arc of the show without without actually having the material right now. Like I said, I have the first two, and I want to get into it, and I have been collecting it singly since issue 22, I believe.
Oh my god, what issue are they on? Has it been that long? Oh my god.
It's up to 25, 26, something like that.
Oh, it's been such a good series.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't seem like it doesn't, and maybe it's the way that, and this isn't a jab at IDW at all. I love IDW, and I love how they do their trades, but maybe it seems longer because of the way they put their trades, because it's like, the first 4 issues in Volume 1, the next 4 issues, they basically 4 issues per trade.
They don't do it.
And that's good. I mean, that's that's not like just giving away a trade, and it's not overbearing and showing us that, hey, there's like 10 issues in this trade. How can I sit here for the next 5 hours and read all this? You know what I mean?
Well, if I can't get the whole story arc in one trade paperback, I'm usually less likely to.
And I think that's also the way they do it, because I know that Volume 5 is Krang War.
Yeah.
So I think that's how they do it. Is they do it by story arc, and they also do it by, hey, every 4 issues or whatever it is. I don't know. I could be wrong, but yeah, no, IDW, they're doing. I enjoy reading their single issues more than any other company.
Mm-hmm.
Because they put their solicits at the end, and except maybe the front and back cover, there are no ads. It's one continuous story in a single issue.
I never noticed that.
Yep.
You know what else is really good from IDW? The Ghostbusters series. Have you been reading that?
No, I can't.
What?
I put my foot down when the new animated adventures came out. Dude, my list: Batman, Batgirl, Nightwing, Superior Spider-Man, Injustice, Gods Among Us, Turtles, 3 of the 4 Transformers ongoings. I have so many books that I'm buying.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Once I saw the new animated adventures on Free Comic Book Day this year, I was like, ooh, okay, this is it. That's it. I'm done. Unless one of these series ends at some point in the near future, I'm not adding any new titles. I can't. I don't mind, but there's a difference in me adding new titles to do singles and me going back I don't mind going back and spending extra money on trades.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with me collecting stuff singly. And the reason why I do it both ways, and I've said this before on the show, the single issues I do because I need to know what's going on now. And the trades, because what I'll do is I'll take all the single issues, trade them in for credit, and then get the trades. So
I can't bring myself to do that. I should. It would be very handy for a lot of my books. Like the Ultimate Spider-Man, I think I should do that. They're just taking up so much space. I mean, I've got those going back to issue 40, 30.
Oh, wow. Yeah. No, but IDW is doing amazing, amazing work. Any franchise that you can think of that isn't the big 2... Pretty much any they've, like you said, they've got Ghostbusters, Turtles, My Little Pony.
They have
Transformers.
Lock and Key. Is that IDW? I haven't read that, but I hear it.
I don't know. I'm not sure, but they've got so many different fandom franchises that most kids of the '80s remember as like you said as cartoons, and it's so good. It's just so good.
They do it with so much love. Like, this is the attention that every geek property gets made into a movie needs to have. I mean, this is what the movies need to be like.
Oh yeah, yeah. It just does. I mean, it's so good. It's like, yeah, sure, Transformers Prime the cartoon is over, but they're going to bring the cartoon characters into the Beast Hunters ongoing, and the art in that for the most part is just damn good. The story they actually give, I don't know because I haven't read anything before with the Dinobots in comics, but Prime Beast Hunters actually gives the Dinobots real characters and not just me, Grimlock, want to smash brains.
The Dreamwave Grimlock was an awesome character. They explained the speech impediment, but that he was actually a relatively smart guy and had motives and motivations, and I liked what they did with the character quite a bit.
Yeah.
That he was in line, or he thought he was in line to be the next Prime, but then they pick the librarian, and there's that jealousy between the two of them. That was kind of a neat angle to take that. That was Simon Furman writing all those, I think.
Yes, yeah. Furman loves his Grimlock, and I've said this before on the show too, but that's one of my main complaints about the Dinobots. It's always been all about Grimlock. It's like, it's not the Dinobots, it's Grimlock and friends.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. And with this Transformers Prime ongoing Beast Hunters, they're focusing on each of the Dinobots and actually giving them character. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the Dreamwave stuff. I haven't read it, so I'm not going to judge that stuff. But, like, right now, if you've ever been a Transformers fan of any of these characters, I would highly suggest getting all of the ongoings that they're currently doing, because they're just amazing stuff.
I didn't want to hear that. I was reading some of the Transformers series, and I got so lost on it because I think there were a lot of splits happening where the story went two different directions and two different comics went two different ways, and the characters weren't together.
Well, the split happens. If you're talking about the two ongoings, the two main ongoings, More Than Meets the Eye and Robots in Disguise, the split happens in the Death of Optimus Prime one-shot, which is collected in More Than Meets the Eye Volume 1 trade. Where the split happens is Rodimus and his crew, the crew that he's going to take, board the Lost Light and go in search of the Knights of Cybertron, whereas Bumblebee and the rest of them stay on Cybertron to have some sort of quote-unquote government.
Who's Prime now that Optimus is gone?
Bumblebee is in charge. Bumblebee is the leader on Cybertron.
Man. That was a quick promotion. Last I heard, he was a scout.
It's not as bad as it sounds. It really isn't. I've read the first 3 volumes of Robots in Disguise, and it's you don't really see, like, you think Transformers, you think Autobots, Decepticons, you think some sort of giant battle or giant war going on. Well, the whole point of this is the war's over. Where do we go from here? And I cannot see politics mixing in with Transformers, but John Barber does a damn good job of making the world of Cybertron and that planet a political nightmare with robots.
So if I were to start reading that, I could read from the split on and maybe get confused, but still get something out of it?
You should actually be reading both titles, because they're going to be starting what's called Dark Cybertron later this year. But if you want to start, I would say, if you find it singly, get the Death of Optimus Prime one-shot. And then if you just want to do RID, which is Robots in Disguise, go ahead and do that. Like I said, the first 3 volumes trades are out, and I think Volume 4 is coming.
And Robots in Disguise has nothing to do with that horrible anime thing that I pretend doesn't exist?
Horrible anime thing?
Yeah, the Robots in Disguise with the little sidekick with the siren lights on the side.
You talking about the
horrible anime cartoon.
Car robots, yeah, no. Has nothing. It's just a title.
Okay, good.
That's all it is. It's just a title. You'll see characters like Bumblebee, Starscream, Blur, Prowl, Wheeljack, Jazz. I mean, you'll see all characters that you know. If you want something slightly different in characters you've never seen before, but that you'll really, really enjoy, try More Than Meets the Eye. Because that's Rodimus, Ultra Magnus, and a bunch of other ragtag Autobots out in the middle of space in a ship. And both of them are so damn good. They really, really are.
Okay, I'll give it I do need another book. I canceled, I'd been reading Invincible from, Dark Horse, and I'm just kind of tired of that, because it seems like every 12 issues or so, somebody gets beat up and there's blood and gore everywhere, but then it's all hunky-dory for a little bit, and then another universe-ending thing happens. It's just kind of repetitive. And I liked the way it started out with that kind of new take on the superhero genre, and they were pushing definitions and boundaries and making it not realistic, but, I don't know, Robert Kirkman writes good dialogue and good conversation, so I like that. But I dropped that. I'm dropping a few other things, and so I have room for 2 Transformers titles.
He says reluctantly,
I
folks.
Guess.
I'm not twisting his arm here. I'm just telling him that it's it's some of the best comic writing I've ever seen with these with Transformers characters.
What's Simon Furman up to? Is he gone?
He's not on the ongoings.
Okay.
It's John Barber is writing Robots in Disguise, and James. Oh crap! What's his name? Oh Jesus! People are screaming at their iPods right now. I guarantee it's James Roberts. James Roberts is writing More Than Meets the Eye. You've got Alex Milne on art for More Than Meets the Eye, and I believe Andrew Griffith is on art for Robots in Disguise. But they're just damn good.
Side note,
yes?
A couple of years ago, I spontaneously get the desire to go to Chicago, and I surprise my wife, and we go drive, and we get on the train, and we go Chicago, and we get off the train in Chicago, and like, oh, all right, great, let's go shopping and walking around, and we start walking down Michigan Avenue, and there's construction signs, and go this way everywhere, and I get up that close, and I recognize one of the Autobots from all of the leaked spy shots for the Transformers 3 thing, and they happened to be shooting the downtown Chicago part when we went there. My wife looks at me and says, "You knew this was happening. This is why you wanted to come down here, isn't it?" Like, I had no clue, honey. We were just here, and wow, I get to take all these pictures now, and snap, 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 snap. Took all these great shots, and Josh Duhamel was down there by the river, way far away, and taking pictures, and just yesterday, we decided, hey, spur of the moment, let's go to Chicago. We got on the train and drove into Chicago and got off, and my wife's on the phone, and she says, there's a Paramount movie shooting down here. What could be shooting? And I'm going through my mind, like, what? Well, Star Trek, no, but... And then she said, it's Transformers 4. And I totally... You knew this was happening. No, I had no clue. And this time it was on, I think, a different part of town. We didn't get to take any pictures, but...
Yeah.
It was cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, no. I'm getting to the point where you are now, where you're like, if I'm not really liking this, I'm not gonna get it. But at the same time, it's like right now, I have the Batman and ongoing in my pull bag by Peter J. Tomasi. It was Batman and Robin, but since they killed Damian Wayne, thank God I hated that kid.
Such a horrible idea. I mean, to have him in the story.
Yes, thank you. Batman
took a turn for, it shouldn't go here, with two things. And one of them was bringing Jason Todd back as Hush. Hush should have been his own thing, and I don't know, come up with a different answer than making it frickin' Jason Todd, who the readers killed off. Don't bring him back. That should be the one cockroach that doesn't survive the apocalypse. Is Jason Todd. He does not come back from that. And Batman Incorporated. I know I'm saying this and I didn't read it, but that just from the outside seemed like a real goofy idea. And Grant Morrison shouldn't be allowed near anything.
The only issue of Batman Inc. that I read that I can speak of is issue 9, where I believe it was either issue 8 or issue 9 where Damian dies. And first of all, and I've said this before on the show, so for the listeners, I'm sorry, you're getting the same story again. Damian Wayne is the spawn of Talia al Ghul, who is the spawn of Ra's al Ghul, the guy that wants to take over the world, and also Bruce Wayne, the guy who wants to save the world. I just don't get it. And that's, the whole thing is like, why did Damian's clone or Batman's clone or whatever else have to kill him? Why couldn't they just have let the Joker friggin' kill him?
Again. Another Robin bites the dust.
Yeah, really, I know. And it's like, but, So I was, so I've been reading this Batman and series, because since Damian's death, they've had Batman and Carrie Kelly, Batman and Catwoman, Batman and Batgirl, Batman and whatever Bat character they can think of. Coming up, there's going to be a whole arc, Batman and Two-Face. Springing out of the Villains Month Two-Face one-shot. And I'm honestly probably going to drop the book after that. And I'm just slowly cutting back. I tried Batman Superman, that new ongoing that they have.
I'm going to keep giving that a shot. It's on issue 2 right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on issue 2.
Well, it's immediately suffering from what I think DC screws up when they do these things is like, hey, it's an issue 1, it's a jumping on point. Anybody can come read this story, and the first thing they do is bring in multiple universes and versions of the character. That I'm sorry, I love how Jai Lee, right? Is that the artist? With all the ropes and wires everywhere. I love his art. I love looking at the pictures, but I can't tell who's who when he draws them like that. It's been confusing, but I'm going to stick with that one. It's not going to go on forever.
I've stopped. I read the first 2 issues and I immediately took them back up and traded them in, and I took it off my list because the Batman Superman #1. By the end of I was following up. I really enjoyed the monologue between Batman and Superman, like that devil looking thing, and the guy that has it read out. I enjoyed all their internal monologues, but when it got to the point where I didn't know who the fuck the villain was or what the fuck was going on at the end of that first issue, I was like, yeah, I'll give this one more issue. If it doesn't hook me, then I'm done. Mm-hmm. Read issue 2, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see. So there's 2 different universes here, 2 different Supermen and 2 different Batmen, and I'm like, yeah, no, just no.
What I think DC, and it's too late now with the New 52, I think they've messed up their chances. I think they need to do what Marvel did with creating like an Ultimate Universe. Let's reboot it right now in the contemporary times, but for everybody who still cares, we're going to leave the original universe intact with Action Comics number 900 and God knows what, and we're going to leave all that continuity in the Crisis, and everything is still in place, but we need some place where people can actually jump in on. And that's what they advertised All-Star Batman and All-Star Superman could be. And All-Star Superman was a mess where, Superman's dying, but then they don't bring it up for 11 issues. And All-Star Batman was Frank Miller going around masturbating all over his Batman dream and goofing around with Robin. And you're in a war, son. Like, no, you're going to scare away new people doing this, DC. Come on.
Yeah,
they need an Ultimate Universe where they can reboot it and they don't have to worry about continuity. They don't have to worry about doing everything the same way that they've done it before. And then they need to leave it intact for 7 to 10 years, like Marvel's somehow managed to do, even though they reset it or something. I don't know what. I don't even know what the Ultimate Universe resets have been because I didn't buy them. I just kept reading my Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah. At this point, and I've said this before on the show too, one of the main reasons why I never got into comics was go to a comic shop, Iron Man number 600 and something, and I'm like, okay, do you mean I have to read the previous 600 and something issues to get caught up? That was one of my main complaints, but now that I can go back and single out stories like Greg Rucka's run on Punisher, I can single out those technically 4 volumes since Enter Warzone is the end of his run. I can single out that one run and be, okay, beginning, middle, end, good. So that's, again, why I'm really enjoying trades and all that stuff when it comes to that. But as far as, like, ongoing single issues, I'm really, really thinking about cutting back on a lot of the stuff I get. Because it's just... I don't want to say I'm not enjoying it, but I'm not satisfied enough. Take Zero Year, for example, the 12-month event that takes place 6 years before the current events in the New 52, if that makes any sense. Scott Snyder is doing a 0 Year, the New 52 origin of Batman. And they're telling you different bits and pieces and whatever else that you've never seen or heard before, along with, obviously, you can't do a Batman origin and not have his parents die. That puts him on the path to becoming Batman. We're 3 issues into that arc. It's so slow. So slow.
They haven't died yet?
No. Well, no, his parents died. It's not that slow. His parents died, but it's like the issue 23 that just came out. We just talked about it on Pull Bag about 2 weeks ago. It just didn't didn't do anything for me. Yeah, there were a couple of cool moments with Bruce and Alfred, but it was just like, wow, what is this? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm really reevaluating what I get, because most of the stuff I can get, I can just wait for trades on at this point now, because it's getting to the point where it's not enjoy. Like the two titles. Well, let's see. No, I take that back. The 5 titles that I save for last every time I get them: Batgirl, Nightwing, Transformers Prime Beast Hunters, New Animated Adventures of Turtles, He-Man Masters of the Universe. I take that back. There's 7. Robots in Disguise, and More Than Meets the Eye. Those are the 7 books that I'm absolutely, like, really, really enjoying. Injustice, Gods Among Us. The game's already released. Why is the comics... The game has been released. The comic series says these events take place before the game. Why not just have it as a 5 or 6 issue miniseries? I know they're doing this whole digital thing now and all that, but that's probably going to end up... I'm going to probably end up getting cut on that one too, because it just... I'm just not enjoying it. So what else? What else are you enjoying? This is supposed to be an episode about you. So what else are you reading that you enjoy for comics?
I've brought it up a couple times. I'm really impressed with Ultimate Spider-Man and the new not Peter Parker Spider-Man, and I've always liked most of what Bendis does, and he's another guy like Kirkman whose dialogue is why I keep coming back, and I don't mind that it takes Peter Parker 7 years and he's still in high school, because the story is intriguing and interesting and cool. And now they've done something completely bonkers, and spoiler alert, I'm sure you already know, they killed off Peter Parker and now it's this new kid, Miles Morales, and I've just absolutely loved what they've done with him, and kind of, yeah, they've done a decent job at bucking a few stereotypes, and I think it also gives Bendis a whole heck of a lot of freedom to mess with this character that he obviously cares about. I don't think they'll ever take Spider-Man away from Bendis.
Yeah.
So that's been really good. I get comic book thing of note. You might have seen the post on Facebook, Mike, a couple of days ago. I was 2 issues away from getting the Archie Ninja Turtles run complete. Bought the one on eBay, and I just ordered the other one from Amazon. This is the first time I've talked about it out loud anywhere. And so I have... It has been the hardest thing that I have ever had to collect. I'm sitting behind a gigantic collection of vintage video games going all the way back to 1972, and I collect action figures and things and other comics, and heck, even the original Mirage run from 1984 to, 92. I found all of those issues, including issue 1, second printing, but that's okay, before I found all of the Archie Ninja Turtles. Those issues, especially from 50 on, are impossible to find. They printed so few of them, I've had to dig and scrounge and call, and I've finally managed to do it. That's just one of the... Right after marrying my wife and having my son, I think this is what I am most proud of in life, is collecting the Archie Ninja Turtles run, and that's a total joke, but that's okay. I mean it.
Oh, man.
They weren't good comics. There were a couple of good runs in the middle, a couple of neat story arcs, but holy crap, that's been hard to collect.
Yeah. There's one, and I've got a guy, he's supposed to be sending them to me, but there's one comic series that if I could ever go back to my old self and say, what is wrong with you? Hold on to these damn things. The Nintendo Comics System. Oh my god.
I've got a few of those, but not enough to go crazy about.
All as I want is all of the Captain N run, all of the Zelda run, and all of the Mario run. I don't want the books that reprinted, because I know there are several collection books that reprinted the other, like, did a Mario, Zelda, Captain N in one book. I just want each of the series individually. I want the I want those issues, and it's like I can't find them to save my life. There was one awesome listener that sent some of them to me in a CBR file, but it was't everything.
And that's never the same. I can't. Digital stuff does not do it for me. I need to hold the thing.
That reminds me of a conversation on Facebook as well. I need a physical copy.
They can't take that away from me, and I can't, break it. Well, yeah, I guess you kind of can, but no, not really.
I will say there is one digital series that I absolutely have to. I also buy it in print to have that physical copy, but the Batman Beyond 2.0 series currently, but written by Kyle Higgins, just started earlier in August, and because no one told me. Everybody always talks about Comixology, and Comixology is damn great. It's a damn great site. No one told me you could use it on your desktop. Everyone always said, "Oh, well, don't you have a mobile device?" No, I don't. And that's one of the reasons why I've been against doing digital stuff, is because I didn't think I could do it on my desktop, but I can. So I've been getting that, and I'll probably go through them to get a couple of the other things that I need to get that I just can't find in the comic shop and probably can't order. But yeah, no, that Nintendo comic system, that's like, at this point, out of my comic collecting, the Nintendo comic system comics are probably my holy grail of, oh my god, I want these now, I don't care how much.
Was the Captain N run before the television show?
I thought it was running at the same time.
Because if that was before, that's awesome, but I don't know.
I thought it was running at the same... I think I could be wrong because I haven't read them in a long time. So listeners, if you know, you can email me, tfg1mike@gmail.com, or send an email to feedback@geekcastradio.com. I could have sworn they were going on at the same time as Season 2 because I thought Game Boy was in both places.
Oh, yeah.
And the cartoon. But I could be wrong. I don't know. I know the Super Mario Brothers stuff was running when Super Show was on.
Captain Lou Albano as Mario.
Yep. Because I remember, I think it was either 90 or 91. It might have been right as the Super Show ended, but I remember getting 3, 4, 5 different Nintendo comics from my mom for, I don't know, a birthday or a Christmas or something.
Where did you go to buy those back in the day?
I don't know. All as I know is there were 4 issues. They were all, like you would hold a glossy photo. They were all like super gloss.
Uh-huh.
And
the ones that I have aren't glossy. They're flimsy newsprint.
Well, then maybe I don't know.
Maybe I'm thinking. Well, you're probably right, but
I could be wrong. I don't know. It's been so long, and I haven't seen those things in years. I've seen them, like I said, I've seen them online and stuff briefly, but I don't even remember if it's the same stuff. All as I could have sworn it was a comic book. It wasn't a I don't think they were regular storybooks because I don't think they did storybooks for the animated shows. Did they?
I do not. Well, probably, but I bet those were on children's book racks and destroyed.
Yeah, see this.
But I know exactly the comics you're talking about.
Yeah,
I mean, I know that I currently have at least one of each: the Captain N, the Zelda, and the Mario. I know I've got them somewhere within 15 feet of my current location. I just need to dig them up, but.
Well, you'll have to dig them up and take pictures for me or something, just so I can see, because I could have sworn...
So you haven't seen any of them, like, recently?
I haven't seen... I've seen different covers of them, but, like, the cover I really remember is Super Mario Brothers. It was a blue cover, but it was... I think it was Mario and Luigi on the cover, but I don't remember what was actually on the cover. I just remember the book being blue, and I remember it being super gloss. Like, really super glossy on the cover, so... I'm not sure.
Well, I'll know within a week.
Yeah. That would be one thing out of me collecting comics or getting comics. That would be one thing I would run anybody over, and I don't drive. It's just one of those things where, holy crap, give me my childhood back, damn it. All right. Anything else you want to bring up comic-wise?
My final point I can say is that with all of these wonderful superhero movies that we're getting, the good and the bad, they're all, at least somebody made us these superhero movies, and they're pretty cool. I think, especially with Marvel being in charge of it, that Marvel and DC are doing a miserable job of using the movies to promote the comics.
Oh, yeah.
And I think all you need in the front of your next Avengers movie is something that says, go down to your local comic book store here, with the crappy slideshow of your local comic book store's address. Go to your local comic book shop here and pick up Iron Man Extremis, which was the comic that was used for the basis of that movie that you saw last year. Go do that and enjoy it. Yeah. Here's, flash some pictures of it and read the continuing adventures of Superman and the Man of Steel. This is going on right now. And I think a 30-second ad in the beginning of that would fix a lot of their nobody's reading comic book issues.
And see, that's so funny you say that, is because every time, like, right when Man of Steel came out, every DC book I had, and I don't read Superman, but any DC book I had an ad for go to your comic shop on this specific date to get a free copy of this Superman comic. Like, they were advertising the movie and the comics in the comic book. And that's the same thing with Marvel. At the end there was a 2-issue miniseries. It wasn't even a miniseries. It was just a 2-shot thing. The Iron Man 3 Prelude 2-issue comic. Mm-hmm. At the end of that, it said, go see Iron Man 3 in theaters May 3rd, 23rd, whatever it was. And it's like, yeah, you're right. They really do need to, instead of, you know what? I would actually like to see a comic ad in a movie theater over, hey, you can go home and watch what's on ABC tonight.
Yeah, or come here and we'll paint your car at this local car wash. Like, what?
I know.
I don't care. Or there's a terrible commercial up here in our theaters of some tanning location, and it's midnight sun, and there's this creepy voice that says, meet me at midnight. Yeah. Like, who in this theater watching the Iron Man movie is going to go get a spray tan at 3 o'clock in the morning after this movie's out? Like, why are you bothering?
And what's Batman doing in an Iron Man movie?
I don't know. But that would be a movie I'd like to see.
Oh, yeah. That would be... I know Marvel and DC have always been rivals, and they've come together on several occasions, like that old 90s...
Amalgam.
No, not before the Amalgam. The 4 or 5, 6-issue miniseries with the two gods, Red God and Blue God, whatever the hell they're called. It was DC versus Marvel before the Amalgam. Huh. If they could just come together... eventually, maybe by 2021 or something like that, to actually have a DC versus Marvel movie. I mean, DC and Marvel both like team up with Capcom and Mortal Kombat. Come on, you can team up with each other, for Christ's sake.
Well, I think they're going to need to work out DC's incredible jealousy for having a successful, Marvel knows what they're doing when they're making their movies, and DC has no clue, apparently.
Well, apparently, Batfleck and his 13-picture deal.
13-picture deal?
I've only seen it reported one place. It was buried in the Bryan Cranston as Lex Luthor story.
He was signed for 6, I thought? Did I read that right?
Cranston, you mean?
Yeah.
It's either 6, 7, or 8. I forget.
Jeezy crazy.
But I saw that... I saw that buried under the Bryan Cranston thing. In the same story, it said, reportedly, Batfleck has signed on for a 13-picture deal. Now, if DC can actually pull off... Like, if they're actually going to start competing with Marvel and pull off their own universe movies, because that's one of the biggest things, and one of my biggest complaints over the last 20 years, Marvel does movies damn well. Animation is touch and go. DC... it's either a Batman or a Superman movie, and chances are you're not going to like how Superman returns. Yet, in animation, they did extremely well with the DC animated universe. So, which Teen Titans is not in continuity. But it's just one of those things where, I don't know. I just don't know. I originally thought, because I've been watching Breaking Bad, people have twisted my arm to make me watch the show, and it's a good show. I like it, but I'm not like hyped up as much as most people are. Maybe it's because I'm only on season 2 at this point, but I liked it, and at first I thought, oh, Cranston could play the next Commissioner Gordon. That would be awesome. And then, oh, the cancer. Oh, the baldness. Oh, here comes Lex Luthor.
Yeah, he... if I had a choice between him playing Commissioner Gordon with hair or Lex Luthor, that's a really good... That's harsh.
Yeah. That's like put a gun to your head, pick a company. Which is kind of harsh, yeah.
Which one's your favorite?
Yeah, exactly. But you can't pick both of them? I don't know. It's one of those.
Play the same guy. There are wigs.
Yes. All right, where can people interact with you if they so would like to do so online?
Oh, they've got to try so hard because I don't have Twitter and I don't know how to do anything. I run an organization called Geek Stuff Garage Sale. You can find us on Facebook, typing that in with no spaces. It's a local Michigan thing, but we get a bunch of geeks together and we all sell our geeky duplicates and things we don't collect anymore for reasonable prices. So we kind of get together and set up a shanty town of geekdom, but through the Facebook page, that's where I announce dates and what we're doing and what people are bringing, and you can message me there, and I will be excited to get it and respond.
Awesome. All right, well, next up in the Pull Bag, we are going to hear from Mike the Birdman Don from This Week in Geek as he does his Origins episode. And then, like I said at the beginning of this show, after that, we will be starting the 3 arc episodes of reviewing the Transformers Robots in Disguise volumes. Volumes 1, 2, and 3 are episodes 31, 32, and 33. For now, I am TFG1Mike with
Joe!
Thank you for listening. Make your great escape into comics, and we will catch you next time.
Clang? Did you say Clang?
Hey guys, Raphael here, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Did you say podcast? Dude, do that! You're listening to a podcast on the Geekcast Radio Network.
You just heard the latest episode of The Pull Bag, GCRN's comic book review podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate our show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Please remember to tell us the show you were leaving the message for, and your name. Become a fan of us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. You can send us an email, feedback@geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter @GeekCastRadio. So until next time, unleash the geek in you.